For us to have 6 of our top 8 guys.
Jake, how's the start of practice? What have you seen so far?
One thing that's been, well, 2 things that have been consistent with our group is the competitiveness. We have a really competitive group and how hard our guys are playing. I think those 2 things have been really consistent, and that's encouraging for us as we build and add to the foundation schematically.
Where does that competitiveness, that shift to where does that come from? Where do you see that?
I think a big part of that is the veterans we have, and a lot of it is making sure that we're practicing with the urgency and the pace that we want to. So there's a process of building that has to take place, but yeah, our veterans have led the way. It's been fun to see.
Some video of you last week. Can you realistically keep that up all year?
Which part?
Can your voice hold up and the physicality? I don't know. Can you bring that consistently every day?
I think so. I got some great advice actually from Gene Smith back last spring, and he was like, "Hey, you gotta keep working out. You gotta take care of yourself." Practice sometimes is my workout, I guess, because the day will get away from you. But for me, it's important to be kind of in the trenches with the team and help set a tone. At least in this first year, or first part of the first year, help set a tone of the urgency and the pace and the effort and the energy that this program is going to be about moving forward. So I think I can keep it up. I'm not in my mid-season voice form yet, so building that, it's going to have to build that, condition that, but no, we can. I think I'll be able to do it. Yeah, we had some great games as assistant coaches when I was at Vanderbilt and he was at Florida, and I always respected their program because you had to adjust in game, and I think, listen, what he's been able to do in his head coaching career so far has been really impressive. I'm looking forward to that game, and the beautiful thing about this rivalry is it is important in every single sport, and certainly basketball is a huge deal. There's an added energy in that game that no other game has all season long. So, and I think it's great in the rivalry when there's a respect, but make no mistake, it's going to be a fun one.
Over the last few years, the defensive efficiencies what's held the team back, I think, from getting where they really wanted to go. At the end of last year, your team took huge strides on lowering that efficiency and really helping out. What changed in your philosophy? What did you instill into late in the year in games like at Michigan State, right, to kind of grind it out? They weren't doing it earlier in the year, and what you take forward?
Yeah, we were more aggressive. The coverages remain the same, the basics of the coverages, but we were much more aggressive. And whether it was our ball screen coverage, being more aggressive, or being a little more aggressive in passing lanes, we created a lot more turnovers. And I thought that helped us get out in transition and helped our offense certainly. But we want to create, opportunities. Listen, it's hard to go against a Big Ten set defense over and over and over again. So you have to create some opportunities with your defense to get out in the open floor. So we want to be aggressive on that side. We can't be reckless and gamble, but we certainly want to continue that because I felt like we found something there that could be successful moving forward. Mostly healthy. Yeah, mostly healthy. Had some sickness kind of go through the program a little bit, and seems to be, talking to other coaches, seems to be kind of going around. So, but for the most part, we're moving forward, mostly healthy.
I know this time last year, Austin was out. Is there anything that, just for to clear, like that that would affect the start of the season. Anything that you think right now that
Not right now. No, I think moving into as of right now, we're gonna have everybody available, and I think we'll have some, some consistent time to build some chemistry with the whole team together. We didn't have that this summer. We talked about that, but we're now at a point where we can scrimmage against each other and try some different lineups. So yeah, we're headed in the right direction.
Bruce Thornton and Michi Johnson, are you seeing them kind of grow together, and how do you figure that's going to work out, I suppose?
Yeah, those two they have a natural chemistry. I think it starts just they're both really great young men, and they both really want to win and win for Ohio State. They have that in common. Their games are a little different. Both of them can make for each other, which I think is a great thing. So yeah, I've been impressed with just almost how organic and natural that chemistry has seemed, and that's been the case honestly for our whole backcourt. Like we have a great deal of depth in our backcourt. Micah Parrish, Wes Glover, John Mobley. Like we got depth that's a real strength for us, and the chemistry within that group has been really impressive.
Yeah, Mobley just in this first couple of weeks as a freshman, having to be doing it every day, the consistency. Are you seeing that with him?
It's hard for freshmen to be consistent.
Yeah.
Especially with the experience and the talent we have on this roster. But he's absolutely had some, I guess you could call them loud days offensively. He's a gifted scorer, and the one thing I appreciate about him is he's confident and he's fearless. He's improved, in all areas of his game. And I think you're starting to see more consistency after getting through a full summer and kind of first part of the preseason.
That's who we got to be. We're a chip on our shoulder. Most of the guys on the team are guys that didn't have anything to
I think getting asked about what it's like being a new head coach and what that transition period was like, that's happened a lot, and I think there's a lot of excitement around our roster. Those three things mostly.
During the summer, clearly, guys probably weren't wearing Ohio State colors, practicals and things. Can you shed some light on what went into that, what that process was?
The great thing about basketball.
Yeah, I felt like we had to establish there's a very rich tradition in this program, and it's one of the better traditions in the history of college basketball. So we had to establish right away a standard that whether you had been here, whether you were coming in from a different program, there was going to be a certain standard of work that had to be met, and so our guys had to earn the right to wear this logo that so many players have worn before and worn it so well. And we had every guy on our team by the time we were getting started this fall. Everybody had earned that, and that was really cool to see. It was there's a consistency required, like a level of work that had to be met, and then you had to do it with the consistency, and then I think also embracing the things that our program is about, the communication necessary, the growth mindset, and fighting through hard days, like all of that stuff was an important part as we were evaluating kind of who had earned that. And then once we had enough guys, then it became like, hey, they had some input on who else had earned it. I believe if I go back, I want to say it was maybe, I think we had two guys on the same day. And ask me this question next week, and I'll have the most accurate answer for you. I don't want to misspeak right now.
I wondered if it was your guys that are here today.
That was my instinct, but I I just want to make sure before, and Terrence Dials played a big role in this for us because he had, won a Big Ten championship at Ohio State and knew what it looked like and felt like. So I'm going to consult with him to make sure I get this exactly right.
As you bring in players from the portal, you have a general idea of what they can do and their skill sets. But what have you been surprised about by some of the players you brought in? Is anything that, man, I didn't know he could do that?
I think I've been surprised with Quez Glover and his ability to score, and I also think as Aaron Bradshaw and Sean Stewart have been in our program now for some time. Their lack of experience, I didn't fully know like how consistent they would be, and I think they're developing that consistency. Certainly two very talented players that will play together, but they're growing and they're consistent. And I think that really helps the ceiling of our team. But all our transfers have bought in. I think the most impressive thing is they're all good guys and they've bought into what we're trying to do at a really high level.
It seems like Sean battles that a lot now for playing time, and totally wrong on that. If I am, how do you see this? Their battle, what are those battles like?
Well, what's unique about this team, and you followed the program for a long time, Adam, is we have a great deal of depth, and that hasn't always been the case. Depth is a strength for us. It's made for some, talked about the competitiveness of practice, it's made for some great practices. And I think in addition to that depth, we have a great deal of versatility. And the challenge is figuring out what best fits this team and what that's going to look like as the year progresses. But we have a lot of different lineups we could put out there that have the potential to be really successful. We're trying to figure out right now which ones are going to be the most successful. But I think you'll see a lot of different lineups early in the season as we give guys an opportunity to play together, because we have talented players, and I think part of it is on us as a staff to figure out how to give an opportunity for multiple guys to play different positions. Sean Stewart can play multiple positions. Devin Royal can play multiple positions. Aaron Bradshaw can play multiple positions, and so I think it's a real strength for us.
Hey, Coach Kyle over here. Remember seeing you at Big Ten, the tournament.
Yes.
What's it like for you? You're now the official coach basketball at Ohio State. What does that mean to you?
It's really, and I don't say this isn't meant to be fun. Like I'm living a dream, and I think that's something that when I pull up to the Schottenstein Center for work every day, there's a joy, there's like an excitement that I have, and just a thankfulness. I take very seriously the responsibility being in this seat to help get our program back to where I think our former players and our staff and our current guys believe it should be. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy by any means. It's certainly going to be a challenge, but that's what we're working towards. And I just love an opportunity to serve this program that I love so much. The way it's impacted my family with my brother playing here, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to serve this program and these particular players.
Coach, I was going to ask you about family. You're a basketball family.
Yes.
What's it like? I mean, what are holidays like? I mean, a basketball family, what does that mean, and what's family mean to you?
Family it's so important to me, and basketball and family have always blended together throughout the entirety of my life. Playing for a high school coach, playing with your brother in high school, following his career certainly, even when I was still playing and he was starting out at Ohio State, following that closely. And I remember driving down from school to be in Indianapolis when Evan Turner hit that shot against the team up north, in the Big Ten tournament, and so being a part of that, and everything we always did, basketball was involved. So those two things, it's impossible for us to separate. But for me, it's faith, family, and ball, and that's how how it's always been for me. So yeah, I'm very blessed to be here and for this to be a family thing.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
One of the things,
I remember sitting there thinking, I can't believe I drove all the way down here, and now I'm going to have to drive back.
They're getting beat, yeah.
And then Evan makes it. You knew it was good right away. Like, I remember Thad going to the scorer's table. So that was a special moment. That was like one of those moments you'll never forget. I can still remember the feeling I had and just how excited we were to see. That picture is actually I think it's John, Dave, and Evan. You may have seen it. Like it's up in our locker room. I think it's such a cool moment that it serves as a symbol for our guys of like, hey, this really is a family. That group embodied just how connected this program is. As former players are to the program, how connected they were to guys before them, and the way they are still connected to this day. I want all our guys to experience that. Hopefully we can win the level they got to win at, certainly, but I think what that group has, even long after their careers are over, is ultimately what I'd love for our guys to have too, but I'll never forget that moment.
You had the day with the former players came in, all the way back from Jerry Lucas all the way forward. Just what did that do maybe at the start of the season for your team to kind of say, maybe focus them that this is what Ohio State's about?
When you have an ability for Jerry Lucas, Jimmy Jackson, Michael Redd, and Jared Solinger to sit on the stage and talk to your team essentially about what makes Ohio State special, what made their championship team special, I wish you could just like bottle that up and use it day after day after day after day. But I think our guys, it was really impactful for us. We talk a lot about this being a family. Events like that, where we had over 200 people in the gym, events like we do in the summer with our vet camp, those are real tangible times where our guys not only get to hear us talk about it, but they get to feel it, they get to see it, they get to build relationships with the generations before them, and it was really special. It was really special, and it wasn't just exclusive to former players. We had former managers, former coaches, former support staff. So this program really is a big family, and that event served as a real example of that.
It's been a decade since Ohio State's won the Big Ten, Sweet 16, all these other things. It's been a long time in the rearview mirror. Just what are you doing on a daily, weekly basis to get the program back to that level? I know you're starting out day one here, but just what in your mind are the things that are going to be built on to get it to that level?
Yeah, I think it starts with just making sure that we are putting the right amount of work in first, and that's what we focused on this summer. There's a certain work capacity you have to play here, and we got a group of guys who have embraced that. And then it's about I want our former players when they either turn on the TV or come watch us play, I want them to be proud of our effort, our toughness, our togetherness, and I think we've done a good job building that and defining what that looks like, and that's going to serve us well. It's going to serve us well this season. So that's where it starts, and I just don't think you can look too far ahead.
Yeah,
you got to continue to. Right now, I'm focused on the next block of practice, and we got 2 days of practice coming up that we got to have really good days. You only get so many leading into November 4th, and so far we've done a good job with that. Our guys have, again, been really consistent, but as we're planning, as we're mapping out how we want to build and add, making sure we're not looking too far ahead is important.
Coach, my apologies if this has been asked, and please feel free to tell me if it has. Can you talk about the process of keeping the recruits that were already in place when you took over, what that looked like and how it went about keeping those guys coming to Columbus?
Yeah, it was honest conversations. I had recruited a lot of the guys, guys. So Bruce Thornton, Devin Roy, like I recruited those guys for a long time in high school. So it was very easy for us to sit down and create a space to have honest conversation. And at the end of the day, Ohio State is a program where there's always going to be people who want to come in, and I think making sure that we have a roster full of guys who wanted to be here was really important to me. When Michi Johnson went into the portal, and we have that conversation, and he's talking about, Coach, I want to win at Ohio State. That was so impactful and so powerful to me. So. Yeah, I think just having an honest conversation, creating space for Bruce and Devin and Evan and those guys, Austin Parks, Kalen, guys who came back to just have some dialogue, ended up being, I think, the most important part. And we attacked that early, and sometimes it was multiple conversations. Sometimes it was, a short one conversation. But giving them space to, just be real, and for me to, give them that same realness was most important.
Talk about not looking too far ahead, but looking a little far ahead, your Big Ten schedule. What do you think about how it shook out in January? You don't have weekend games. I don't know if I've ever seen. What do you think about your schedule?
Yeah, I've been in touch with the Big Ten, and we've talked about our lack of weekend games. I think our fans, we have the best fans in the country, and so I want them to have as many, obviously, convenient opportunities to see us as possible. We have a plan in place, I think, to make sure that doesn't happen again. In communicating with them, they've been good since then. I mean, listen, we have one of the best facilities in the country, and there's other things happening in our building. It's a great asset for us, certainly, but we're committed, and they're committed, most importantly, to working together to make sure we can, that doesn't happen in the future.
Talking about former players, Greg Oden goes into the Hall of Fame this weekend. What impact has he had on you? What was it like? You trade him, right? Like you come back off seasons?
Yeah, so Greg and I go back a little ways. My best friend and roommate in college was Brandon McPherson. He played at Lawrence North with Greg and Mike. So even back in college, I knew Greg a little bit, and I'm a big Greg Oden fan. I just think he's an example. Like, he's embodied kind of, and he's taken advantage of the power of Ohio State and the network, and how he goes about. Like, it's fun to watch him when he's on campus because he loves being at Ohio State, and I think Ohio State has loved having him here, and he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. We'll never know what he could have been in the NBA, unfortunately, but the impressive thing about him is, that hasn't beat him down. He's got a lot going for him, and excited, to hopefully be able to have him around a little bit. He's already, when I found out about that, I immediately texted him and invited him to practice, because I'd love for him to stop by, and he's going to try. It'll be a busy weekend for him, but I think he's another example of a long list of former players that can add real value to our program. The more we can have him around, and he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I'm excited for him.
What was it like working him out?
Yeah, Greg was easy to work out, I guess. He obviously really talented, but whether I was an assistant coach or I guess I was video coordinator at that time, Greg would let me run the workouts, and we would have dialogue and stuff, but he worked really hard. He was a joy to work out. You could try new stuff with him. He had the talent to pick it up really quickly, and the instincts, and he always had a joy about him when he came into the gym, and that was always a lot of fun.
Talk to me about your staff and kind of who does what. And I thought it was interesting seeing Woj go to college basketball, be a GM at St. Bonaventure. What are your thoughts on, as things continue to adapt to the portal and NIL, of having a general manager to help with roster staff?
Yeah, I think once this case is settled and we have a clear understanding of what the landscape is going to look like, I think you got to be open to adjusting. And we have Nick Kellogg on our staff right now who's working in this space, but I think to some degree how his role and job description is defined is, we're in a little bit of wait and see mode. And right now he's doing a great job of learning the landscape and gaining wisdom and knowledge about how things are working. And so I think we'll see kind of how all this shakes out. And once we do, we're at least in position, right, with him already, learning and being committed to this space. We're in position to adjust quickly.
I want to ask about Sean Stewart just coming in. We got to see him work out the day that we were there. Feels like he's going to be a guy with his facing the basket and attacking offenses in different ways. Just what do you see from him and his skill set, I guess, so far, and how he kind of fits in there?
Well, I think first and foremost, when you think of Sean Stewart, elite rebounder, plays extremely hard, and an elite defender. But that's not a knock on the other side of the ball. There's some things he can really do well, and getting him, I think, to get comfortable and having a little more freedom, going from a freshman to a sophomore, and just that natural progression is going to be. There's going to be a learning curve there, but listen, he's had some really impactful plays. He's an elite rim threat. He can play on the perimeter and rip drive and attack the paint and make decisions and finish. So I'm excited about. He works extremely hard, so I'm excited to see how his game I think will even grow throughout the course of the year as he gets more and more experience. What? You guys want to come up here?
Someone haven't really asked you about his MMA.
Yeah.
I think you might have mentioned it very briefly. Just what is he giving you? What can his role look like this year?
Well, I think with Evan's size, like he's got to move his game a little more perimeter based. But Evan's versatility is his gift. I think he's got good feel. He does a lot of things well. He plays well with other good players. So he's going to be a really important piece for us.
I think I'm good.
Good.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time.